Welcome. Today we'll be doing part 6, which is to build out the product page on WooCommerce. This is going to be the single product page, and we've got a design over here for this, which is just this one here. What we'll need to do is have a nice large product image here, as well as a small gallery. On the right, we'll have the cart, and below it we'll just have the description with some related products. We'll have this in a 2-column design, should be easy to set up. So what we'll do is we'll jump into our system here and have a look at what we need to build this. We've actually built out most of the rest on here, so we can go straight to the shop page now, and we can select one of the items, such as this one over here. And this is currently the design we have. So as we can see, we've got the related products looking more or less okay, but the rest of it we're going to have to customize. We do have that white border, which we can reuse, and we can update the image to push it up a little bit. But the description here for the pricing will have to change a little bit, as well as how that's structured. So that's what we'll be doing today. Let's jump in and have a look at how we'll do this. Now, I think my camera was on, so let me swap here to a group view. So this is the product page I was talking about. We'll jump in and start looking at how to design this one over here. Now, for the product page, normally WooCommerce combines each one of these sections into its individual functions, and these are called separately. So we're going to have a look at how we're going to call these functions in the correct order and with the correct content. To start off, we'll have to have a look at this product image here. We want this to utilize the full width of the section here. So let's have a look at where that is in our code. So this is the product image in our content here. And what we'll do is we'll find the overarching class here, which is this one over here. And I might put this into Google just to see which one of the functions it calls in order to do that. So I think that's one of these two. So let's have a look at this one here. I think that was called show product images. That's over here, and that pulls in the single / product image. And I think there's another function for this that we can call. So let's have a look where this is. We might pull in our example content. So I'm just going to open up the content over here. And that's in the section over here. We'll go to the plugins folder. Here we have WooCommerce, got our templates, and we've got our loop here. And in here, we've got most of the stuff that normally happens when we're pulling in some content. We also have an item here called contact single product. And this is what should be pulled in when we're pulling in that single product item. So what we'll do is let's copy in some of these and we'll copy them across to our main file in our theme. So here's our theme and here's our WooCommerce section for that. I'm going to paste this straight in here. What we'll do is we'll open up some of these and we'll start editing them and see how they affect our design. So in here, this is the shop page for a single product, and I'm just going to type in test over here and just see if that appears. So it's not this one here. Let's close the other ones off. I think it might be content product. Let's double check. But this, I think here is our loop for our products, so that's not it. I think it might be here, this one. Let's save that, refresh, And there it is. So there's our test. So it's using this content-single-product. And here we've got the layout for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to customize this layout a little bit. The very first bit here is grabbing the single product summary. So if we have a look at that, that essentially is the image from what I can see. So because when we put it back, it puts that image back in. We're going to customize this function here. Let's have a look at what this function does. So the function over here, this is the one. Oh, hey there guys. Hi, Taiko and Bajoro. How you going? Welcome to the chat. Hopefully you enjoy this content. If you do, then let me know. Otherwise, how did you guys find the stream? Is it through Twitter or are you just seeing it on YouTube? I'd love to know. Let's see here. So what we want to do is for the single product summary, we want to customize this a little bit. Now to do this to start off with, here's an example of how the single product page loop works. So we've got the single product here, before, after. We've got the main section here that appears with the product summary here on the right. And then we've got the ending bit here. So this is a really good example of how the single page product works. Let's see what we can do to customize this one a little bit. So I want to really customize the WooCommerce products. Let's see how we can do that. So in here, we definitely have to pull in this section. What happens if I comment out this one? So that's commenting out the section here for our summary. So it's definitely the WooCommerce single product function we need to customize. And let's see where this hook exists in WooCommerce. We'll jump back into the plugins folder. We'll open up a new VS Code in here and see if we can pull it up. I'm just going to do a quick search for it and hopefully it'll pop up. Yeah, so it's popping up in here. And it's also popping up in here. So here's the file that we actually called. And here's the template it pulls it from. And when it's pulling it, it does two things here. It's showing if there's a sale, and then it's also showing the product images. So next up, we need to grab the product images function because that's the one that we want to utilize. And if we take a look down this rabbit hole, then we can see that it actually pulls in the single product-image. So that's the next thing we need to edit out. So let's find that. If we have a look here, that's in single product. So we'll go to templates and we'll go to single product. And what I might do is I might copy over this whole section here and paste this into our theme so it can reutilize how this works in our theme. We'll jump here back into our theme. We'll go to WooCommerce. We already have single product here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this on top. And I want to skip the two files that it's replacing. So the rest of it can stay the same. So in this case, what we want to do is grab the product image. And let's just open this up in our main file. So this is our main file here. We'll go to single product and we'll go to product image. So this is where it exists. If we take a look at it right now, the way it's sort of working is it's just there. And right now I wanted to utilize the whole div component. So I think it's floating now at like 50% or something like that. Let's have a look. So here's our module from the left. We've got a WooCommerce notices wrapper, which we don't really need to use. And we've got this main product here. In here, we've got the WooCommerce gallery. And yes, it is a float at 48%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look where this class exists in our file, which is just over here. And I believe this is the class that's essentially applying that. Let's have a look. This class is actually WooCommerce Product Images that's getting applied. So what we'll do is we'll find that class. I think Product Images is somewhere in here. Let's double check. So we definitely want this images class. Here's with images and without images. And here it's passing in that class. So if I comment out that class, will that disappear here from our content? All right, so it looks like that does, but we also lose some of the custom JavaScript and stuff that's happening, which we don't want to lose. So I'm going to have to actually override some of these classes in terms of the styling they're applying. So this is the styling here. I'm going to open up our terminal here and run gulp watch just so that we can start styling it a little bit. We'll go into our theme folder here and browse to the bottom. In here, we'll pass this variable in, and right now we want to override the float that's happening. So let's have a look where that is. I think that's just over here. So it is definitely on that. It's a float left with a width of 48 pixels, but it also has like a margin left there and a couple of other things. So the first thing I'll do is let's close this off. We'll do float, none, and then width initial. Let's save that and just see if it overrides okay. Ideally, the image should just go full size, so it looks like it has. Now in this case, full size might be a little bit too big. Let's do 100% just so we see what that looks like. So that's how it should work. And ideally that next column is here on the right. So we might leave that as is just because that's how it's meant to be working. And what we have to also do is like a slightly negative margin on this. The negative margin is going to have to go from this section here and overlap to the top. And I think that's going to be about 50 pixels, 100, maybe 200 pixels. Let's do margin top negative 250 pixels. Give that a shot. And that's looking okay. And then this wrapper here, which is for the WooCommerce section, just here. We're going to have to add this with a little bit more padding for the top. So what I'm going to do is for this class here, I want a padding top of maybe 350 pixels, but only to apply if we're in a WooCommerce page or WooCommerce product page. Let's have a look at what the global variable here is on the body tag for which page this is. So a single product. So let's put that in. Single product in here. And we'll pass in our class there and that should apply. So let's refresh that and give that a test. Great, so that is applying, but it's not exactly what I want because we're adding in that padding. It's not doing the overlap exactly what I wanted to do. So let's remove that for now. And let's also figure out a different bit here that we can do to make this work. So here, if I refresh once more, it is overlapping. It's overlapping on the title, it's overlapping on a couple of other things. But ideally what I want is maybe for this section here, for the logo and the content to be a bit larger. So that's the page header, I think it is. Yeah. Oh, actually, what might be even better is we'll do what we were planning to do before, but instead of doing a padding, we'll do margin. We'll do margin top 350 pixels. Let's try that. Great, so that's looking better. Now we'll just reduce that down to 250 so it works out a little bit more cleanly. Yep, So that's looking a little bit better. And now we can just create that column there on the right, similar to our design. We also have an overlapping thing here for the top of the image, but we can add this in a little bit later, so that's okay. Now, let's take a look at where we have this section here for the right side. So we'll close this one off here. And then we'll have a look here. I believe this is our product summary. Let's double check. Let's just put some letters in here and see if it refreshes. Yep, so that's our product summary, and we want to move that to the right of the screen. So I think I've got a previous example of that. Let me double check. And I've got to update some of the styling here. It's got a huge margin there on the top or something. What is that? That's my fault. I've accidentally not done this properly. Let's fix that up. Refresh once more. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll go in here, and I think it's in one of our pages that we had. Let's go to our category page maybe. Let's jump in here. We'll go to, we'll close this off, close all this other stuff off. And we'll go to categories under posts, and we'll just view one of these categories. All right, so this is what that looks like. That's okay. We'll jump into one of these. And yeah, this is what I'm essentially after. I'm essentially after grabbing one of these sections here on the right. I've created some layouts for this before, which is a page holder and a left and a right side. So I might just copy over these sections here. What happens if I remove post holder? Yep. So that's what I want, page holder and page left and page right. So I'm gonna copy this over to this section over here. And we'll wrap this in. Do left and right. And this will have a parent, which will just be the page holder itself. And let's paste these in here. Then for the product summary, we'll just paste that in here. And then for the product entry summary, we'll paste that in here. I don't really want this class. I might remove this for the time being. Let's have a look. Save that, refresh. We'll jump into our product over here. I think we have one in our menu, so let's actually go back to that. We'll go to store, select a product, and there we go. So let's see what's happening here. We've got the product holder here. This is a flex, and we've got a flex 1.5 and a 0.85 happening. And this is all inside of margin left. So I think that might be going a little bit odd simply because the margin from the left isn't particularly auto. It's just sort of using up some of that space there. But at the same time, sort of think that's okay simply because we won't actually have that much room on the page. So utilizing the room that we have here is already a good step forward. The only difference is that in this case, this column seems to be a lot smaller than some of the other ones we've had. So let's have a look at this one here. This one is about 350 pixels wide. So if we take a look at our example here, yeah, so that does look a lot smaller than I thought it would. Let's see if this is in a margin left as well. So this is, but the main section isn't. All right, so I see what I think is happening there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove the margin from the left that's being applied at the top level here. And then I'm going to have to apply it manually inside. one of our people here, he's saying 100% turn on all notifications. I like the work you do. So that's awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to refresh this section here once more. We're going to have a look at where the margin from the left is being applied. And I think it's being applied right here at the top level, which is just here. It's going to be hard to override this simply because all of our content sort of has to exist in this section. So we might have to create a separate class for that, or maybe we'll have to override it some other way. Let's see what options we have here. So I'm thinking what I might do is I might just override in the single product, the margin from the left's margin right auto there, and that'll expand it out all the way. So let's jump into our CSS here. We'll find this one section there. And in this case, for a single dash product, we'll pass in a margin from the left with a margin right of initial. That should override it, expand out our section. Let's take a quick look. That's not particularly doing what I wanted it to do. We've got a max width on here as well, so we have to set that back to initial 2 if we want that to take effect. So let's do max width, initial. Great. So this will be more further down. And then what we want is we want a margin from the left to be applied manually later further down here. Let's see how this works, because this section here sort of works a little bit different. It's not too happy with the way that we're doing this. So I might revert it all the way back. So let's remove that. Refresh. Okay. And then what we might do is for this section here, let's see if we just do a margin right here. Negative 500 pixels. Yeah, we might do that instead. So I might margin right that. So let's see which class this was again. That was the product holder from the right there. And we'll want to apply this on our single product. So let's apply that in here, apply that in here, and do margin right, maybe negative 400 pixels to start off with. Let's refresh that. That's looking good. Now we just need to customize the layout for that. So right now, this section here on the left, it's getting a negative top margin of 250 pixels. So we want to apply that same styling to this section here. Save that and refresh. And that's looking a little bit better now. And finally, with this section here, I feel like it's a little bit too large. Let's see how we can fix that up. So we've got page holder. So instead of doing page holder, we might create a similar styling. But what we'll do is we'll do a product holder instead. So let's do product holder. And then I think we've got some flex happening here from left and right. So for our product holder, we'll change this up. Let's do maybe, first we'll add that class into our product section. And then in here, we'll do maybe a flex of 1.5, and this one can be 0.5. Let's refresh and take a look at how that looks. So we'll refresh. So that's looking a little bit better. I think it's a little bit too small. Let's take a look at our design here. So it should be about 350 pixels wide. And if we take a look at this, yeah, that's about right. Got a little bit more of a gap between the two, but we can increase that. That's okay. I'm just going to increase this just a little bit to 1.66 and reduce this to 1.33. I reckon that'll be just fine now, because once we add some padding and stuff, they'll need to be a little bit different. Great. So on this right section here, we'll update the layout a little bit. So in this case, this whole product from the right section really needs to have a background color. And it also needs some extra content in there, but let's see how we can do this. So in our use case, it actually is a completely separate column. I might use Bootstrap to do this. Bootstrap might be a better way in this case. So let's go back out here and back out here. Here we've got the page holder from the left and the page holder from the right. We'll remove all of that. And in here, we'll just do a simple row. This is classic Bootstrap. And in here, we'll do col-lg- maybe 8. 8 columns seems about right for the product image. And then for the other one, we'll just do col-lg-4. And that'll be our right section. Not yet there, Roy. Planning to do more on MobX and Redux in the future with React. Great. Let's copy this up here. So that looks better. And this huge summary here, I might move this here below our image. Let's copy that in here and save that. And let's take a quick look. Great. So I'm just going to edit this one real quick. I'm going to put a quick price in here of $39.99 and copy over some of the text that we have just so that we can fill that out. We'll make sure that this is a H2 heading and save that. And let's view it once more. That way we've got a little bit more content to play with and we can see what we can do with it. Great. So this section here that we've now done, we're going to have to make sure that this whole section sort of has its own little column, because this column here, wow, it's going all the way down, but that's cool. So what we'll do is in this section, which we have here, we'll call maybe something like single dash product sidebar. Right, that makes a lot of sense if I'm looking it up later. So we'll save that and we'll jump in here. We'll scroll down and I think in here we'll do a margin top -250 pixels, a background of that secondary color. I think it's -500. Let me check. Yep, so that's that really dark version, and it starts off with a quantity, then a total, and then some extra details in here. That's okay, we'll fix that up in a sec. So there's that. Let's see what's going on there. We didn't add in the background because we didn't label that properly. Let's fix that up. All right, so that's looking a little bit better now. And then what we want to do is have a look at this section here. We've got quantity and add to cart, but here we've got a small title. So the first thing we might do is remove the hook there for the title. And that's this one here. Let's see how we remove a hook from WooCommerce's system. So remove hook from WooCommerce single product summary. And we'll just have a look real quick here. So what we do is run this command and it should remove the hook. So I think we have to do this in our functions file. Not too sure, but let's give it a shot. We'll jump here into functions. We'll paste it in. In this case, we're removing that single title, and I think that is indeed in the 5th position. It is. Let's save that and refresh. Here, we'll go to our page, and it's gone now. So that's cool. Let's see what else we have to customize here. So it starts off with quantity. In this case, our quantity is a little bit below. We also have a description there and a price. In this case, our price is a total at the bottom there. What happens if I put it to 2, 3, 4? No, it's not showing up with a total price. Let's see what else we can do here to fix that up a little bit. So we can actually redo the order of these by manually creating a new version of this function. So I might do that instead. Let's call this Fred Snow changes single product layout. Apply this and still remove the title there and refresh to make sure that's working. So what we can do is, oh, what's happened there? That's gone a little bit funny. Title is in here. Let's remove that, refresh. Okay, that's good, that's gone. And I thought we removed the title there as well. What's going on? Title. Yeah, we definitely removed that hook. Maybe, because here we're adding in new hooks. So in this case, we do that. That's working a little bit better. What we want to do is add to cart has to really be up above. I'm going to put this in at 5. The price can be at 10. So let's refresh that. So now we've got the quantity, which starts off. Then we've got the price. And then we've got to add to cart button. So let's copy that over here. Put that at 15. And let's change the execution here. So we'll save that and refresh. Okay, I didn't particularly want the... All right, so add to cart's coming both with the price and the sections there. I think that's really odd. I don't want that, but we might have to play around with that a little bit to get it to work the way we want. In this case, what I might do is just thinking how I can reorder these the way I want. I might cancel out this whole section for the time being, re-add this one in, and use maybe even CSS to restructure how the layout is. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. So I much prefer this layout. You might also like blah blah blah, but that's not necessary at this stage. So the other thing we don't really want is the category bit there. So I think that's, where is that? Is that this? Single shared? Let's double check the classes here. So that's product meta, which is this one here. So we'll remove that. Let's cut and paste this out. And I think the number for that one is 40. So just put that in here. Save that and refresh, and that should disappear. Great. We also have a short description in here. Now, do we want this short description? I guess not, but oh, we've got a comment here. If I need to use vars and functions on other pages in my projects with MobX. If I need to use vars and functions on other pages at my project with MobX, React Native Expo, can you suggest me something? Yeah, I've done a video on MobX with React Native. You might want to check out. It sort of tells you more or less how you can use MobX very easily on all your pages or components or classes, and it's very easy. Honestly, you'll be up and running in like 2 or 3 minutes rather than 10 to 20 with Redux. So check that out. All right, so we've got this section here. We've got the add to cart button and the quantity. So I'm going to customize these two. In here, this is the styling that we need. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull over our CSS here and pass this in. And this section in here is the quantity section. So it's got a class here for quantity, and this is a float. It also has a button here. Button. So what we'll do is this will not have a float. It'll have a width of 100%. So let's save that. Let's make sure our refreshing is happening. Then for the input here, it's got a strict quantity class here. And I want to remove that, to be honest, and I want that to be a width of 100%. Let's override that and refresh. So that's looking a little bit better. For the quantity section here, we want a little bit of padding, so we might do the padding on the element on the right here. So we'll do padding 30 pixels. So let's refresh that. It's looking a little bit better. Then the button here, we want this button to be black. So let's do a background of black, color of white, and just see how that takes effect. We also want the width to be 100%, margin top to be maybe 10 pixels, maybe more. Let's test that out to start off with. And a text decoration of a text transform, I think, to uppercase. Okay. Now that's looking good. So we'll refresh that. And I think the price in here is black as well. So instead of this green one here that we're applying, we're going to change that out. We'll replace the class in here with a color of base. And we'll do base as well there for the background for that button. Refresh that. Now, how large is that price? That price is quite large. 36 pixels bold. So in this case, we'll want to increase the price there on the sidebar. Let's think, how can we do that? We could do that here. Where is it? So pass in this variable here for the price. And we'll do font size 36 pixels, font weight 500. Save that, refresh. That should go bigger. Maybe not. Let's see what's going on. All right, so it's being overridden by essentially more specific information here. So we're going to have to be more specific on how we do this. We're going to have to push in maybe WooCommerce in here. And then what else can we do to make it more specific? I guess we can pass in page. That'd make it pretty specific. Or even, do we pass in main? I think we can pass in main. So main, single product, And there we go. So that gives our CSS a little bit more priority. So now it can take effect. And I think that's all right. Let's move the add to cart up a little bit on our priority. So in this case, I think our add to cart is on a hook of 30. So we're going to increase this in our functions. What we'll do is we'll remove it here, and then we'll just add it back in. Just a second, I've got a phone call. All right, sorry about that. Let's just jump straight back into it. So I think we were re-adding the function here for that single product add to cart that we were removing before. So it was on a priority level of 40. And I think we wanted to push it up to maybe something like 10. Let's give that a shot. We'll refresh and see how that works. Yep, so that looks like it's worked, except it's in there twice. That's not good. Let's refresh this. Okay, so it's definitely being added in to number 10, but it's not being removed. Why is it not being removed? Because we haven't put in the right number here. So this is meant to be 30. We'll remove that, and now it's in there exactly how we want. So that's much better now. So now we've got the price, we've got the quantity. We actually want the quantity in first. So what I might do is I might actually move that even higher. I might put that up to 5 and see how that looks. Let's refresh. So now we've got the quantity there at the top, and then we've got the price, but I don't like how that looks, so I'm gonna put it back there. So that's looking a little better. For this number in here, I think I might change up the styling to how that looks as well a little bit. So I think we have it somewhere in here. I think that's it. Let's have a look. So this is the input quantity. And I want to do a font size of maybe 24 pixels in there, so it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. All right, I'm back. Now, let's see what we're doing here. So we've got this section here on the right. And we just want to make sure that we have some additional info here. So you might also want to print vouchers or add other products. This is essentially a section here for additional stuff, which we might take a look at adding later. But for the time being, I don't think we particularly need that, so I might remove that. Finally, we also have this section here for descriptions and reviews and stuff. And I might not use that as well for the time being, so I might remove this whole section here. I think I'll just do a display none for it. And this is on the tabs. So let's jump in here and do display none. Save that and refresh. And that should almost get us up and running to how we want the design. If we take a look now, this main text here is almost like a H1 size text, which is a little bit too big, I think, but that's okay. And in our example here, I think it's a H3 maybe. Let's see what it is. So it's a H2. It wouldn't be consistent to increase it, and I don't like having inconsistent design, so I think I'll leave it as is for now. And finally, we have a little bit of a margin here at the top, so it's a little bit too much. I might decrease it just a little bit, maybe by 50 pixels. Let's do that. Save, refresh. All right, great. So now we have that over here like this. That's looking good. We might want to give it a little bit more room, but we can do that a little bit later. And yeah, let's see. So the margin from the top there can be a little bit more. I might add another 200 pixels to it. Great, so that's okay. And then finally, this section here needs to also be responsive when we go down a block. So what I might do is, let's have a look. So here we're resizing. And here at this point, we're gonna have to change the margin from the top here for this element on the sidebar. So let's do max width MD, and we'll do margin top, and this will go from -400 to 30. Let's refresh and have a look. Yep, so that's much better. The only other thing is that I might want the price to go up first almost before everything else. And we might also want to remove the negative percentage there on the image too when we go to MD. So we'll do this to 30. We'll do this to 30. I think that should be it. And this one here. What is this? We're not using this anymore, so we can get rid of that. And let's refresh. Okay, so that's good. Now I just need to remove the additional padding we're adding. Where is that padding? It's like 250 pixels of padding somewhere we're adding. Here it is, margin top. And we'll just change this to margin top of 30 pixels. Let's refresh. Yep. So that's looking good. With this one here, I might just set that to, where is it? This one? I might just set that to 0, I think. Because we've already got some padding in there. Or is that for the actual images? Yeah, there we go. Great. So we've got a description, we've got the related products, and we've got the price at the very bottom. So let's see, Bootstrap, reorder, MD on resize. I think that's somewhere in the grid system we need to use to reorder the positioning of them. So let's quickly have a look at that. Ordering classes. So here we can change the order. So for example, order-MD. That way we can resize the MD aspect. Let's give that a shot. We'll jump in here. And in here, we'll do order-MD1 and see if that applies. Let's jump back in here, refresh, and take a look. And this maybe has to also have an order of 2 here. Great, so now we can see that's going on top. But as soon as we get down to this level, it's not. So what we'll do is we'll have to play around with this a little bit so it works a little bit different to this. Maybe it's dash dash. I can't remember what the opposite version of that is. Let's have a look at our grid system. So this is how we want it to work. We want add an order and then override it here. So in this case, we'll do order-2, sorry, 1, and then on anything above MD, order-2. In this case, we'll do the opposite over here. Order-2, anything MD and under, it's order-1. Let's refresh. Great, so now it's at the top. But it's actually resizing on LG, so I'm just going to push this up 1 column responsive unit up. We'll refresh this once more. And great, so now it's working. We've got the column there, and then when we get to this viewport, it's coming in below. The only other aspect is we need to add the margin here, and we can put this margin in below. So here where we're putting at the top, we'll change it to bottom. And here we'll set this top one to 0 pixels. Let's refresh and have a look. And yep, that's looking good. All right, so far so good with this product page. I'll have a look at doing some more of it in the next video because we're just about out of time. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Cheers.